Forget the jargon, skip the guru talk. This is paid media for the rest of us. The podcast that gives new and accidental marketers the real talk on what works, what doesn't, and how to stop wasting budget. My name is April Borovskaya, and each week we'll break down paid media strategies so you can stop guessing and start growing.
Hello, and welcome to Paid Media for the Rest of Us. I'm your host, April Borovskaya, and today we will be talking about when to run ads yourself, when to hire a freelancer, and when to call in the big agency. Remember, this is just based on my experience. I have worked with all three of those levels. I have run ads on my own, I've worked as a freelancer, and I've worked with an agency. And I've been on the receiving end of working for companies when they've hired an agency, a freelancer, and when they've tried to do it themselves. If you're curious on what is the best source and the best path forward for you, watch this episode. You will be able to know what to expect, what kind of labor intensity doing it yourself entails versus hiring a freelancer versus working with an agency, how much it's going to cost, and what you can expect back from them. Because each action and each of those choices of who should be managing your ads has tons of pros and cons. It's really going to boil down to what your life is like, what you're expecting to get out of this campaign, and what your boss might be expecting to get out of this campaign as well. As always, if you think that somebody else might benefit from figuring out whether they should themselves do it or hire a freelancer or hire an agency, share this with them and let them know they are in good company. This is something that people who are getting into marketing ask themselves every single day, and they change their minds so often too. Let's start with running ads yourself. What does that look like? When it is okay to run a campaign by yourself, it might be that you've got like $300 or $400 to run with, and you're a small business owner. Maybe you have a tree company, maybe you have a lawn company, or just, you don't have a whole lot of dollars to put towards somebody managing the campaign, but you do have the time to manage this. And when I say time, you need to be ready to make yourself available for between 10 and 20 hours worth of training to understand the platform in the first 30 days. Doesn't mean you sit down, take an Adderall, which I shouldn't say, but have a Red Bull and just kind of go down the hole. While that is nice, I mean, it's ongoing education. So if you're looking to do this yourself, there is a huge learning curve here. Please do not just think that you can trust Google's algorithm in local service ads or even in the Google Ads dashboard to do what is best for you and for your small business. I promise I have rescued a lot of these small businesses that said, oh, well, I had the really easy looking dashboard that Google gave me because I'm a small business. And no, it is that way for a reason. And it's not always the best intentions. I personally love Google advertising as a platform. However, they're a business. And so sometimes when they put the tools for small business operators to start serving Google ads or local service ads in front of them, they're not always thinking about you as a consumer. They're really trying to think, how can I capitalize on this? So whether that free Google Ads strategist that calls and tells you to auto apply everything or turn on broad match, and these are probably sounding really crazy and foreign to you. And if they're already scaring you, then you need to be doing research into stuff like this before you run ads yourself, because you will be taken advantage of. I promise. I really promise. Please be ready to do the legwork. If you are a service-based business and you're trying to run it yourself and you work in a good geo, now I'm saying this in June 2025, so this may not always apply. A year from now, we'll have to have a whole different episode on this. A really safe place to start is local service ads. It is so good. I highly recommend starting with local service ads. If you are a service-based business, local service ads is really great for some of those, but it is algorithm-based. So what will happen in local service ads is you'll get a ton of these leads, and you've got to just work on lead management when they come in and basically communicating back to Google via this one dashboard, whether this is a great lead or a really shitty lead. And what's going to happen there is the algorithm's going to pick up on that. Once again, be ready to invest the time into lead management, into education, into asking questions. And for the love of our Lord and Savior, please do not auto-apply things and do not broad match things without really doing the research into those, or even hiring a freelancer to help you understand whether that's a good idea or not. Another really cool case example of DIY businesses running ads on their own are those with a substantial amount of marketing expertise who understand the importance of testing. Google and paid media. Paid media is a testing environment. Some things work, some things do not work. And it's important that you understand this as well, that you will have these ups and downs and fluctuations. My very first bosses, they're the Gagnons, some of my favorite people in the world, they're doing it themselves. And I mean, I'd say they're doing a pretty good job. We'll probably have to have them on as guests at some point to tell us how in the world they have decided to start running ads on their own. But they can also kind of share some of the problems that they've run into along the way, some of the challenges of the DIY approach, because it's not super easy. Next is the freelancer, right? Ooh, that sounds cool. Like, not as full of the commitments as an agency. Maybe you are looking to spend about $1,000 and up in your advertising. Go with a freelancer. I will say that, again, I set that number because you have to think, right? I'm going to put $1,000 into my advertising campaign. How much am I also going to be paying a person to manage this? So a good freelancer can be anywhere on the ongoing for about like 10%. And that's a hard one because sometimes a good freelancer won't take on a $1,000 a month ads management without about a 20% margin on there. Or maybe they charge $40 and up and $50 and up. So freelancers are a really good option. Prices can vary. I highly recommend, if you're going to go the freelancer route, it is because you have about a medium-sized budget and someone who can be that source of expertise. Maybe you want a short term, you say, you know what, I ultimately want to run this on my own, but I really need better education. I think hiring a freelancer is a really safe place while you get your bearings and educate yourself on the platform. Or you might decide that they always run that campaign for you, and that's totally fine too. Whether you're looking for someone to do consulting, to optimize the campaigns that you are currently handling, or just need a little bit more hand holding along the way, freelancers are really the way to go. However, there are going to be some really important questions that you are asking these freelancers. Please hold them accountable for reporting. You should always be asking, how much am I spending? What is my cost? What is my conversion value if you are selling an object? What is my cost per acquisition if you are a conversion-based product? And how will the conversion tracking be handled? Please make sure you partner with a freelancer that understands the importance of conversion tracking and how to start that, how to set up conversion tracking, whether they are doing it or they have someone who can step in and set up that conversion tracking. It's very important that they are conveying that back to you. You should also know what costs per clicks look like, and are they comfortable giving you honest feedback about the website that you have and or the landing page that you're running to? And are you, as someone seeking a freelancer, open to that feedback? So you might think your website's great, but we see through the metrics, through a good conversion rate, for example, and score, as well on the website how well it actually is optimized. Is it SEO optimized? Does it have the right information and the form for the contact form above the fold? These are all things that someone who is confident not only in running your paid media, but understands the importance of a good landing page, that freelancer has to be aware of. And if they make these recommendations, it's always nice to work with a freelancer that has that network already. I personally have an awesome network. I do not do web development. I do not do SEO. I allow the expert in SEO to manage that. I allow the expert in web development to handle that. My lane is paid media. I love living here. I will always only live here, but I do have the resources and the experts to help guide my clients if they need support along the way in those. Limitations of a freelancer are exactly that. So obviously, when you do it yourself, you have no resources. Like you have decided you're doing it yourself. You're probably going to try and set up a website on Wix or forget the SEO component. So a freelancer is a step above that. They're really helping you walk through this paid media journey. Limitations of freelancers, limited resources for SEO, which is very, very important. And AEO, I think it's called, is the artificial intelligence version of that. We've got crazy things happening now, keyword list targeting, like just the capabilities today in the advertising space require a lot more from an SEO perspective in order for you to rank beyond just your ads. And so you want to make sure that you have a freelance partner that can support that. Some other limitations of a freelancer will be how dynamic their reporting is, and also looking for like cross-platform support. Like that, when you hire a freelancer to do your ads, you're not going to have that support for SEO. You can't have that expectation. Some other things that should really be considered when finding a freelancer, and please make sure that this is, know that this is coming from a wholehearted place. Please make sure that they are local to the country. The strategist, at the very least, that is managing your ads is local to the country that you are serving ads in. And I say this because I am located in Ocala, Florida, USA. I have tons of understanding of the local English language, how we conduct searches for things, the channels that are working. And that looks totally different than how the UK market looks for service-based industries. The verbiage that they use, I mean, they don't call attorneys over there. They call them solicitors. There's an entirely, even though it's the English language, way of advertising and marketing to people in another country. And for that reason, even if you partner with a freelancer and you ask them, hey, are you running the ads? Or like, do you have someone else that does it? It's important that that person making the strategy and communicating what keywords to target and things like that is based in the US, because you will have more success on the effectiveness of your campaign. Good case example of a client that would do well with a freelancer is, let's say that there's a medium-based business. We'll say their spend is somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000 a month. And it's a new marketer and they stepped into this role, and their job for that company is to run the ads. They might want to partner with an agency, or you might be the business owner and you're ready to scale. Maybe you're a new attorney and you need someone to run your ads. You're a little timid about going into the agency world. Freelancer could be a nice in-between space. I mean, heck, maybe you've been burned by an agency and you want to step back from that. I've got a client going through that right now. Bless their heart. A freelancer can be a safe place, but you've got to be ready to ask the right questions. You've got to be ready to understand the limitations that go with a freelancer of not having an entire plethora of SEO support and web support and things like that. And finally, the third option, the agency. This is the go-to solution for those bigger budgets. So if you are looking at, in most cases, I'd even say if you are at a 10K and up, if you're definitely in a six-figure monthly ad spend and up, please look into an agency. And I say this because the right agency has full service capabilities, and that includes strategy and creative and SEO and analytics. The way that agency relationship should look is you have a primary account manager who's going to always be there to hold your hand. And that account manager is going to have a conversation with you weekly and say, tell me what you're trying to achieve. Well, I want to serve Google Ads. Well, actually, your account manager is going to go on the back end and say, they said they want Google Ads or they want Facebook ads, but I think we should dig deeper. I think their website needs work. And I think all these other things. And an agency should be able to identify these holes. They should be asking questions about your CRM, your email marketing strategy, your SMS strategy, and all these other great things so that they can provide full service capabilities for your business. Also, so important. There are two types of agencies, and there are creative agencies, and then there are media agencies. Creative agencies, maybe I'm just not looking for them as much, are on the dwindle because AI has started to replace a lot of creativity. I know. It's like so juju. I feel terrible saying it, but media agencies have a deep understanding of metrics, of conversion tracking, ad platforms. They're focused on driving ROI. They want to do strategic and data-driven approaches. If you ask them about reporting, they're like, oh, absolutely. We have a totally user-friendly dashboard, and this will be set up for you within the first week of you being there. That is a media agency. Creative agencies are amazing. And to be very clear, creative agencies are your brandings. They help you with that branding. They help you make beautiful creative, maybe a little bit of organic social and outreach, but they're typically more boutique. They're helping you create this brand. They don't typically have, and this is not to be standardized across all creative agencies, but typically they do not have an expertise in media. They don't know as well as a media agency does what channels will perform and have a thorough understanding of analytics. There are some incredible media agencies. I worked for one for a period of my life that feel close to home. You have that account manager. They care about you. Your weekly meetings are always on time. You always get to the point. Those weekly meetings are under 30 minutes. Everybody has a moment to talk. You feel like you are understanding what's being conveyed and you have clear KPIs on what you can expect next week. If there's a challenge, there's always this opportunity for growth. That's what a healthy media agency relationship should feel like. An unhealthy media agency relationship usually looks like unclear reporting or not really getting to the point of the top three, right? How much have I spent? How many conversions came out of that? What was my ROI, my ROAS, or my cost per acquisition? Those have to be there. Your conversations should feel consistent week over week if you are working with an agency or period over period, as in these are the areas that you're discussing. This is what you can expect next. And of course, your metrics of what they were previous period compared to this period. Huge red flag. Please be careful about agencies that focus on creative but do not understand the nuances of media buying or performance marketing or have like super sketchy reporting. It's really like conversion tracking and reporting is the cornerstone of success, especially with certain, we'll use the word algorithms. You have to tell Google what you want. And the only way you can do that is by conversion tracking. You say, hey, these are the people that have converted. This is how much they spent. I want those. And if you can't have conversion tracking set up effectively, you're not communicating that to Google and you don't have any direction to point your campaigns in. Coming down to the final corner here, what should you be asking yourself when choosing the right support for you? If you want to do it on your own, key questions to ask yourself, whether it's making the decision to do it yourself, to hire a freelancer, or to go with an agency. If you're thinking of doing it yourself, do you actually have the 10 to 20 hours it's going to take per month to educate yourself, to manage these campaigns, and to invest into learning a new platform. And I'm not talking about boosting a Facebook ad. I'm talking about something that's going to be really effective and ultimately drive new sales. Do you have the time to learn that platform? If you are considering a freelancer, really think, is it just Google Ads, or am I going to need website support? Am I going to be getting to a position where I need to be spending 5K and things like that? That is a good question that you should be asking yourself. If there is more along the lines than just running the ads and feeling good about meeting someone once a month, you should be really thinking about going with an agency. And questions to ask yourself about an agency. Is the agency I'm considering focusing on creative or performance? And you will know in that first meeting really quickly. That conversation, open the door and say, I really want to run Google Ads. I really want to run Facebook. See where that conversation is going. Are they pushing you down this creative journey? Are they pushing you down this metrics journey? How effective are they in communicating the success of their metrics in the past? And finally, are you getting honest feedback from a freelancer or from an agency on your deliverables, on your landing pages, on how your Facebook page looks, your Instagram? And are you getting honest feedback on conversion metrics and their importance as well? In my own experience, I have come across clients at different stages of this journey, and I've even turned some away. I've had a client in the past who was in the pharmaceutical space who had clearly been running his ads on his own. He felt confident. He felt like he knew what he was doing. Everything he was doing was right. There was nothing wrong. And so I truly asked him, I said, well, what do you need me for? You are doing such a good job, right? Of running all this on your own. Do you need me? And he couldn't answer that himself. And whether it was because he couldn't let go of that control of managing the campaigns, or whether he really truly was doing what was best for the campaign. If you decide to bring in a third party into this, there has to be a sense of letting things go a little bit. There's got to be an openness to change. There's got to be an openness to feedback if you have vetted the right agency, or if you have vetted the right freelancer and you feel good, that relationship should come to fruition. You should feel good about things. Another example is a recent client who downgraded because I'm just a professional in this. I'm a professional in this and will call myself an expert, but I'm only an expert because I'm always curious and always seeking to learn more in this space and do better for the clients and seek out new opportunities. And we just retained a new client who's coming from the agency realm and thinking that she never wants to deal with an agency again because of that experience, when in reality, it was just that she wasn't having the right agency experience. She was not getting feedback. They were kind of lying about the changes that were happening in the account, and they broke that trust. So make sure that if you do decide to go with an agency, that you feel really confident about the metrics and the change, and know that you can always just go to Upwork or to go to one of these channels and spend a couple $100 and have a secondary person look over and try to identify whether what they're doing in the account is right or it is wrong. Also, super important. We are marketers. We're really good at marketing. I mean, the good ones of us are really good at marketing. If you are happy with your agency and they are delivering results, or if they are delivering results to the best, when you decide to transition to a new agency or a new freelancer, full disclosure, I personally seek the honest route. If I see an account that is fully optimized, it's doing awesome, I don't want to promise even better to a client and then fail them 30 days after because they don't see changes. But we also know how to market this. So if we come in and find holes, we will identify it. However, some agencies who seek people out and are looking for new business a little bit more aggressively, maybe they're the ones who, do the form fills really quickly on your website and say, we can fix your website and make it rank better. Those guys are going to go into your ads account if you give them access, and they're just going to annihilate and probably lie about a lot of things that aren't necessarily wrong, but they're not you're not allowing your original agency to really justify. And so goes back to what is the most important of all of this? Good communication. Communicate with your freelancer on your expectations, if that is the route that you want to take. Communicate with your agency on your expectations and your conversion metrics, and communicate with your existing agency. If they're not performing to your standards and you're thinking of moving away, tell them, I'm not feeling this, and give them an opportunity to explain, but also understand that if you're missing out and you're not receiving that communication, you are entitled to it. And you should be receiving open feedback about the things that are happening in your ads. So some closing thoughts, because that was a lot. For small budgets, DIY is fine. Be ready to make the investment into time and really think about how you're going to manage this campaign, do the right research, understand the nuances, the jargon in the channel. Freelancers are a great option for medium budgets, but they have some negatives, which is resources like web dev and SEO and some of those other cornerstones of success on the digital space. And agencies are awesome, but please make sure that the strategist is located in the country that you are going to be serving the ads, or has significant localized education and knowledge, so that you really are getting someone into your account that knows the industry that you're serving in. As always, this is Paid Media for the Rest of Us. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Paid Media for the Rest of Us. If today's episode helped clear things up, pass it on to a fellow marketer who needs it. And if you're ready for more real-world guidance, follow and join me next time. Until then, stay curious, stay focused, and keep learning.